All right. How's everyone doing today? My goodness. I was actually looking into an explosion in El Paso yes for a news article yesterday. And there was some rumors that people were saying that there was an explosion and that perhaps maybe a quarry nearby or whatever caved in, or maybe they were mining, whatever it is. And while I'm looking that up, I was punching it in, and I kept coming up with this explosion from a vehicle, and I'm like, I'm looking for that's today. So, and then I started getting messages from people saying that there is an explosion. I think outside of an airport, another vehicle um, exploded. There's mixed reports because again, some of the articles are saying it was yesterday where there was 100 firefighters and it was a massive explosion and all this kind of stuff, but it was a car. Now today we're hearing reports that this just happened like an hour or so ago. So telling you, sometimes it's hard to keep up. I was just going to talk about the Arizona plane crash that happened last night. Like this, this is ramping up. I'm starting to feel like Rick. Folks, fasten your seatbelts. So it's going to be crazy, and we'll probably talk a little bit about this tonight on Uptime because I'll be on Uptime Community Church as well. But if you guys know anything, just put it in caps. Maybe there's something released, maybe something that we don't know. Like if it's another Cybertruck or something, just let me know in the comments because I think everything is just kind of coming in right now. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so yeah, I wanted to talk about this plane yesterday that smashed into a larger plane. And what's weird is my conspiracy spider senses are tingling again, starting to tingle again. Some of you might be thinking, Shane, another conspiracy? Don't you get tired of conspiracies? Actually, no, I don't. I don't get tired. I'll show you. I'm going to show you some footage here. And let me just show you the footage from the Arizona plane crash. and then you tell me if something isn't suspicious. All right, let's go here. And again, let's see here. Okay. As you know, I come from a little bit of a production background, and I look at things outside the box a little bit. This is why I created this Black Swan channel. Is I'm always thinking, I'm always coming at it from a different angle. While everybody's running in this direction, I immediately look in the other directions and say, what am I missing? What am I missing here? So I'm going to show you this footage from yesterday's crash, and we'll talk about the fire today. And I'm telling you, this is just bizarre. Sometimes you do feel like you're living in the Matrix. All the crazy stuff that's going on here. All right, let's go here. So this is a raw video, allegedly. Deadly plane crash at Scottsdale Airport. Okay, no problem. I have no problem with that. Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS, Channel 5, 299,000 subscribers. I'm going to subscribe in case they upload anything else. So we're going to have a look at this. I think this is important. Then you can kind of see where my head is at. All right, so if you notice, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you can't see it, but just at the top of the screen, and maybe I'll post a link or something. But basically, this is the name of the video, raw video, deadly plane crash at Scottsdale Airport. So we have a nice view, a perfect view from an investigation perspective right here. And there seems to be a logo over top of this from AZArizonafamily.com. They basically put their logo over top, almost like a copyright or whatever kind of thing, so you know where it came from. Fine, no problem. Give credit to you guys. Well done, all the stuff. But the question I have is, if you are investigating a incident of this magnitude where somebody dies, one person dies, it's a big deal. I'm not into this numbers game where it was only 16 people die, only 30 people die. What's the big deal, Shane? There's too many people dying at airports. There's too many people since January 1st. There's been crazy stuff going on. Can we not clean this up? Now we have a plane crashing in Scottsdale, Arizona, and this is where my daughter lives. So this one's a little bit closer to home. Her and her husband are going to be flying back to Calgary, back to Canada in 10 days. So don't think this isn't on people's radars where planes are crashing, all this stuff. But this footage here, I'm questioning because I'm shocked. Again, if this camera was left like this, no problem. I'd be like, yeah, okay, now we can see, because you're going to look to your left and you're going to see this Lear jet, this Lear 55 or whatever, come in. But watch what happens to the camera. For some strange reason, they're zooming in when we need to see down the strip where the plane is landing. We need to see that, but they zoom in. Zoom, 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 zoom. And now we can't see the plane landing for some reason, some ridiculous reason. They zoom in so much that you can't see the plane coming. I need to see that to see what happened. They took that away from us for some reason. If I was an investigator, I'd be like, I need to see the raw footage before you decided to zoom in. And why are you zooming in? Do you know something that we don't know? Is this edited? If this is edited, that's one thing. But if you're purposely zooming in so you can't see this plane coming in, that's another question. And now the plane comes. So we can't see how it landed. All we see is it's out of control. And now the camera moves to the right. This camera knows this plane is coming. It's following it. So whoever was there at the airport with this remote camera knew a plane was coming in to crash. I don't know how else to look at it. This doesn't look like it was edited. This looks like somebody had a joystick, a remote control, operating the remote cameras at the airport and saw this happen. And now they're following that plane knowing it's going to crash. And then now we get another one zooming in, another angle. Isn't this interesting that we have another camera angle where they zoom in? Where did this footage come from? Is this edited? It feels like it's a camera push. It feels like it's a camera push versus an edit. If it's an edit, somebody's doing this on purpose. If not, it's somebody's following this plane with a remote camera. And I've seen these. They're easy. You have a little board at your desk, and you can control any camera at the airport with just a little joystick. You just press a couple of buttons and you activate the camera. What is going on here? And they zoom in. So that one could be edited because it looks a little grainy now. Possible. But and then pulls out. I don't know, man. Something is like I said, my spider senses are tingling on this one. This feels weird. Something feels really off. So have you, let's see here, Jean Paul. One video showed no front landing gear fell off or broke off. No front landing gear. Interesting, because yeah, that's what they're saying is the left side fell off. Nothing to see here, folks. Okay, well then show me the plane landing on the strip. I just want to see the plane coming in. That's all I want to see. I want to see how it landed. But they zoom in when all they had to do is just stay wide and we could see the plane, and then you just go, oh wow, bad luck. Bad luck. Man, oh man. But they zoom in, and now my conspiracy antennas start popping in. I'm like, why would you zoom in ahead of time like you know a plane is landing? Who are these people? Investigate them. Look at all the footage. Study it from every angle, and then you can get rid of us conspiracy guys. That's bizarre. Bizarro. Yeah, and these crashes didn't start until Biden was fired from the White House. Something is up. I keep saying it in our videos, like how many times do you have to review a plane crashing or an explosion or something going on? Like this feels weird right now. I'll keep saying it because until somebody proves me wrong and says, okay, here, Shane, here's the angle that we can actually see the plane coming in for a landing, because you got to have another angle. There can't be just one angle on the airport and that's it on the strip, because it looks like you're zooming in and you can go left and right. Just leave it alone. Let it stay wide. We can figure this stuff out. Don't zoom in. Let us look at it. So I'm hoping the investigators will be able to access all the footage from every other angle, and then we can put this baby to rest. Something's up. They did blue. We have one fatal crash per day in the US and 4 accidents every day. It's weird, right? Like it's just something is going on. Let's see here. What else? The nose gear collapsed as well during the excursion. And yeah, and no fault of the plane. Like, oh my goodness, like it was cruising. All the world is a stage. That's what it feels like. Yeah, and again, what we're hearing is from that camera. So that's another question too. They have audio footage from that camera, which is kind of a surprise. Usually you don't have microphones on those cameras, but what do I know? Let's see what else we got. No front landing gear. Yeah, it is kind of interesting, right? Definitely same pastor does YouTube Bible studies. Let's see here. Are we live? Yes, we are live right now. We are live. ADS data, final shows, key data, last 3 miles shows very excessive rates of descent. Some upwards of 3 times normal, quite possibly a hard landing, left main gear failed. I've heard that the left gear just didn't come down. That's a hard landing, but it's interesting that they're on that strip landing. Like you would think you would have another place to land. Like I'm talking right down the runway. And okay, if the landing gear fails, you're still out of harm's way and you're not going to crash into anything, unless it's right along that runway. But this plane looked like it missed its runway. That's what I want to see. Because then that tells me that there's a wing problem or something else going on, not just a tire blown off or whatever, something else. Again, you got to think outside the box as to what's going on. Like, why did this plane slam into a jumbo jet? It looked like when we're looking at the footage, it looked like it was going right down the strip, straight for that jet. And that strip to me tells me that's where all the hangars are, where planes either get parked for maintenance, fuel, whatever, and then they come out and they taxi and then they get ready on whatever the runway. I don't have a layout of the airport yet, but I'm sure that's going to come out. They need time to edit the footage, manipulate the footage. That's why I always like to look at the footage right away before they have time to edit it and make things up and whatever it is, right? So, but what I'm looking for is footage from another angle to show, even a reverse angle, to see the plane come down and land, crash land on that strip. I want to see that angle. And don't show me another camera angle where you're zooming in to see where the plane crashes into the jumbo jet. I don't want to see that. I want to see it flying. And if you're telling me, no, Shane, we only have one camera that can zoom in and out on the strip of exactly where it was going to crash, come on, man. Something's going on here. I would go in there and I'd be like, I need to see all the footage before you start erasing stuff. I got to see it all. Somebody's going to be to blame on this one. And it kind of feels like after a while that the airports are going to start taking the brunt of this stuff, because you can't have planes crashing into each other every single day. Planes can't even take off and they're crashing into each other. I just saw one just the other day where one plane smashed into another one and into the tail of the plane. Just crashed right into it. It's like, yeah, this is just like an everyday parking lot. It's easy, Shane. You don't know how hard it is to be towed by a small what do you call it? One of those little vehicles that tow these planes. You don't know what it's like, Shane. These planes go so fast when they're taxiing to get ready to go onto the runway. You don't know how hard that is to avoid another plane. These wings are big, Shane. You should have a heart that these wings are really massive, so they're going to be smashing into other planes. Don't you know? I don't accept it. I don't accept it. Failure is not an option. Stop smashing into each other at the airport. Stop crashing into each other when planes are just trying to leave. It's weird. No sudden change end times. It's been like this for literally decades. 4 day. Hey, I get it, but that's not what they were telling us when the Black Hawk helicopter smashed into a passenger plane. They told us this doesn't happen. It's been 12 years since this happened, and now we're seeing it every single day. So something is ramped up. This is not normal. I can't look at this and say it's acceptable to have 4 crashes a day. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. You can't have that because you're going to lose people. Once you lose the confidence of the people, they're not going to fly. They're going to start driving because remember, used to be safe for flying. Now it's kind of like, we don't know if you're going to be able to land without smashing into something. We don't know if we can trust the plane itself because maybe an engine might blow out. You could lose landing gear. Don't know. But Shane, it's safe. Or we don't have confidence when we're backing the plane out that we can smash into another plane beside us as we're backing out or as we're moving forward to park the plane. We're not that confident. But we're okay with the idea of going to Mars. We're okay. That's a no-brainer. Flying to Mars, living underground for 100 years till we can manufacture oxygen to one day in our second or third generation, maybe we can have our kids come out from underneath the surface of Mars and start breathing fake oxygen, fake atmosphere, and then maybe in 500 years, good to go. But we still have problems parking cars, having cars drive by themselves. We have problems with planes crashing, planes falling out of the sky. Just think about the Alaskan military plane. I forget what plane that was, F-35 or whatever. Just boom, guy ejects. So all I'm saying is I'm all for going to Mars, but can we just have one day where there's no plane crashes just for 24 hours? Can we just have the flag hang at mast for like half, maybe a day, just half mast, just to say, hey, can we just kind of give ourselves a little bit of a shoulder check and say, what are we doing here? Why are we crashing these planes? Why are people getting hurt? People getting injured? What's his name? Vince Neil from Motley Crue. His girlfriend was on that plane that crashed and she broke 5 ribs. Critical condition. And we go, yeah, but they made it. One person died. That's too many people. A pilot died. That's too many. All the resources, all the energy that went into training this guy, and he's no longer with us. That's not easily replaceable. And his family's suffering. Do you know how many families we have now that are suffering in dealing with the airline industry in the last 20 days? Like, this is the thing now. Airline industries are going to be sued. Airports, planes, organizations, they're all going to be sued. Eventually, they'll have to be held accountable and say, look, I know we told you that flying is the safest, but now Uber's the safest or something. They'll change it. They'll just say, you know what? It's better to have a taxi come and pick you up with no driver. That's safer than a plane. These planes, I don't know what's going on. Must have been our latest AI update or something, but they're crashing. People don't know why they're crashing. Just craziness, right? Eventually, we're going to have to wake up and say, this is not cool. Yeah, I don't accept the idea that, Shane, there's so many planes, it's just going to be a numbers game. Tell that to their family. Don't tell it to me, tell it to their family. Explain that to their family. When a pilot dies, explain it to his family. Don't explain it to me, the Black Swan, on a YouTube channel. Don't rationalize it with me. Say that, hey, we've been having 4, 5, 6 planes a day crashing, Shane. This is just normal. Don't tell it to me. Tell it to their family. We have to kind of wake up. We have to clean this stuff up. Let's see what else is going on here. Heard the cost for a ticket. Yeah, it kind of feels like they're pushing us out a little bit, like of flying. Like they're rocking our confidence to a point where it's like, you know what? I was thinking about going to Mexico this year. I might just go skiing or snowboarding or something instead. Because if you put that little seed of doubt into a person, now you can jack up the prices on the planes. And then when you go back to fly, you're like, $6,000 to go to Mexico? No, thanks. And then you just control the airlines. Have you all seen 9/11 episode Conspiracy Theory? Yeah, I watched that a few years ago when he was going on. They didn't like that. When Jesse was on there, I have huge respect for Jesse. I know he goes a little bit on the cray-cray side, but a lot of his stuff is pretty accurate. He used to be a Vietnam vet. So, yeah, I watched him ever since I was a kid. He was also the governor of Minnesota. I'm just trying to think if he was there when I was there. I don't think so. I think he became a governor after we left Minnesota. So, nobody in planes, computers to make people think there was. You have to see the episode. Oh, not recently. No, I haven't seen that. How you doing, Josh? But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's something to do where they start either saying that there are bodies on these planes and we don't know, or people are becoming sacrificial lambs for an industry for whatever reason. Don't know why. But it's bizarro. Don't know why Motley Crue guy wasn't on his plane. I think probably just because it's his plane or his company or whatever. His girlfriend comes and goes. So, but I wanted to show you this other footage here about let me see if I can find it here. I think I just backed out of the studio for a second here. I pushed the wrong button. That's not the button. It just disappeared. I got raptured. All right, let's see here. Let's go to this footage here. Okay, I want to show you this. All right, let's have a look at this here. This is an earthquake in El Paso, Texas, last year. 5.3 magnitude earthquake at 3:27 in the morning in Mentone, Texas, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. So let's just have a little gander, shall we? Let's just have a little look at what's going on here. This was last year, 1 year ago. Look at this. Sounds like my alarm.
As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, many of us probably felt a large shake earlier this morning. This video is from one of our viewers, Rudy Amador, just outside his home. Now, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, just before 3:30 this morning, a 5.3 magnitude earthquake took place near Mentone, Texas, even reaching us here in the borderland about some 200 miles away. Many residents emailing and calling KTSM this morning saying that they reportedly felt the earth move. One viewer, in fact, Eleanor, saying in part, quotes, anyone else feel that earthquake? Was sound asleep and felt apartment shaking and heard things rattling. One of our other viewers, Elizabeth, saying in part, quote, the earth just shook, my house trembling. Was it an earthquake? Please let us know.
All right. So let's come back. So this was a year ago. The reason why I bring this up is because yesterday there were residents again in El Paso saying that they felt it felt like a rumble, felt like an explosion went off somewhere. Um, they weren't sure if maybe the mine that's nearby, one of the quarries, maybe they were digging and all of a sudden they caused an explosion underground to quarry the mine. Don't know. But lots of phone calls, lots of texts coming in saying, "Did you hear that? Did you hear about this? All this stuff." And then today we get an explosion, a big one, and we don't really know just yet. We've heard that it was a vehicle, but we don't know. Like again, for all we know, this could be a missile strike because we don't have any footage yet of it. And again, that the Philadelphia plane, you look at it from all the angles. I know what they're saying. They're saying it's Shane. It's a plane. Look at how the plane went down. It's on fire, and it crashed. So my question is, why did that plane 30 seconds or whatever after takeoff explode? You can tell me oxygen tanks, all that kind of stuff, and that's what caused it to go down like a missile and explode. Like they had that area blocked off pretty quick. Nobody can get in or out, and all of a sudden you see plane parts and all kinds of stuff. Okay. All right. It looked like a missile went right into the ground because I've seen plane wrecks. They don't disintegrate. You have debris all over the place. You don't have an explosion here and then things go this way. It's weird. That plane was on fire before it hit the ground. So either it got hit by a missile, nobody wants to talk about it, or it was a missile that they're trying to say that it was a plane. Don't know. There is a rumor that these man pads are in the States. Could this be something like that where they snuck across, two Iranians snuck across the border before Trump got into office, and they're just firing shots off here and there at the airport, shooting planes out of the sky? Wouldn't that cause terror? If you knew that's what was going on, you're like, oh man, these planes are being targeted. That's the rumorville. The only way to squash the rumorville is to have footage that shows all these different angles. And if it keeps looking like a missile from every single angle, I don't know. You have a strike against you guys. Like as in literally somebody's shooting at these planes. They don't just spontaneously combust. That doesn't happen. And again, when you see the plane in Philadelphia, that's weird. And then when you see this helicopter, it's like the helicopter looks like it's going to smash into the plane. It's weird. Yeah, and again, like you can tell me on paper and say, Shane, we said it was a plane. Okay, I'm looking at it. I've seen plane wrecks. I've watched a lot of them on YouTube. You can watch them. Just go to an air show, and you're gonna see what the difference is when a plane crashes. Just go pick an air show. Go to Europe somewhere, pick an air show, watch a video. They have them all documented. We have cameras everywhere. Suddenly, we don't have cameras to give us a proper story. Isn't that amazing? When you need evidence, all these cameras are faulty or blurry, shaky cam. The guy zooms in at the wrong time, or he moves the camera at the wrong time. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient? I think something else is going on here that is happening that maybe we're not aware of it. And I say we, meaning you Americans, is you're getting hit every single day. And I think you're starting to get used to it now. It's like, let's turn on the news and let's see what plane is going to crash today. That's bad. That's not normal. You might feel like it's normal to crash 4 or 5 planes a day or whatever. I'm telling you, this is not normal. 9/11 wasn't normal. Smashed into a building. And we're starting to see more and more of that. I thought our technology was supposed to get better, not worse. This is trending in the direction of getting worse. Correct me. Like, just say, Shane, no. No, Shane, it's way safer now on planes. Way safer. It's 100% safer. You're crazy, Shane. I don't know. Do not fly. Exactly. And see, that's the thing that's getting in our kitchen now, because I'm starting to think, whereas in October, that didn't even enter into my radar. Now you're like looking around, you're going to be going to the airport. Before, we used to just profile people left, right, and center, because that's what happened after 9/11. I even get profiled. I got a belt buckle on, and all of a sudden they're like, take that off, Kate. Now I got to give you the little genital cuff, make you talk like a Smurf. And I'm like, for what? For a belt buckle? It's like, yeah, that could be illegal. It's like, well, why don't I just take the belt buckle off, put it on the conveyor belt, and then let me walk through it again? Nope, we got to search you. We got to violate you in every way. Really, that's where we're at right now. That's where the security has to be. I thought it was in watching planes fall out of the sky crashing. I thought maybe spend more time and energy on that, buying more cameras so you can see every angle, no matter what. I thought that would be something, but no, you gotta have hundreds of people because you're worried about my expensive cologne, and you're like, oh, that's dangerous. You can't have this. It's 1.6 ounces. We only allow 1.5 ounces. I'll pocket that. Thank you. And they're going out on a town that night. They're just looking at the buckets and buckets of perfume, cologne, deodorant, all this stuff. They're like, man, we're going to have a good time tonight at the airport because look at all the stuff we have. It's dangerous now. Meanwhile, planes are crashing. Planes are smashing into each other. Vehicles are exploding outside. I think there's bigger problems out there than my little cologne. I'd show up with a rope to hold your pants up. Yeah. If I wasn't, how do you say, obese, maybe I could wear pants without a belt buckle. Lots of car crashes. Yeah, it's weird, man. Don't think they'll be flying to Miami to see my son. Oh, man. Oh, that's sad. I don't think we're there yet. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't travel. I'm just saying it's in my kitchen now, whereas before it wasn't. I shouldn't say it wasn't. Like, we always had that kind of a feeling where, like, I sure hope this plane lands. Ha ha ha. That kind of thing. But now we're like, I'm checking both engines, make sure they're not on fire. Okay, we're good to go, pilot. Let's go. Yeah, train would be the way to go if you don't get sick. I've been in those trains over the mountains. Man, you get motion sickness like crazy there because they're just going like this back and forth while you're trying to eat your steak, and you can't see because you're in the mountains. It looks beautiful, but the mountains are right by the windows, like maybe 30 feet away, so you can't look up, can't see anything, and you're supposed to sleep. I don't know. I think going for a long walk, like with a backpack into the mountains, if you didn't have to worry about cougars jumping at you, That wouldn't be so bad. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Trains, planes, automobiles. Yeah, you know what's interesting is they're actually talking about the idea of, this is how weird we're getting, folks. They're talking about the idea of actually having parachutes on planes so that you could bail. I thought maybe the idea would be to fix the planes, but no, they're like, we can't fix them, so we're going to put a parachute under everyone's seat, and then you decide when you want to bail. That just sounds bad to do that. This is what they're talking about now. Well, maybe if we can't fix these planes, maybe we can just eject 237 passengers out of the plane. And because they'll have parachutes, yeah, they're all going to black out because they're at 30,000 feet. Yeah, so what? But we're saving them. Yeah, but they're dropping over the ocean. I know, we're going to lose a few. What's the big deal? What the problem is? I don't understand you. We're taking care of the problem. We're putting parachutes under everyone's seat. What don't you understand, Shane? Well, you're dropping them over volcanoes in Hawaii. And then the plane levels off and then lands, and all these people are ejected. Whoops. Sorry about that. Made a mistake. Airplanes land. Yeah, it's almost like, it's crazy that's a thing. Like, I used to watch planes land and take off, not thinking they're going to crash. I was more like, look how majestic they look. And it's fun to see, like, especially in Las Vegas. There's times where you can just see a whole lineup of planes getting ready to come down. It looks cool. Now it's kind of scary. Right, so what did I want to show you? I wanted to show you something else here. Let's see if I can find it. So this just happened. Okay, so this is a little news break. This was like a couple of hours ago. So let's just go and have a gander at what this news outlet says about this vehicle explosion. Let's have a look here. And this is from, I'll subscribe. This is from KTSM Channel 9 News.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Monica Cortez. We are breaking in with this breaking news just in. There is a fire that's going on in the Sun Metro Operations Center. This is on Montana and Yarborough. You're looking at a live picture right now. There's heavy smoke in that area. Right now, El Paso Fire did...
Weird, right? Like, you can't see anything from this angle. It's probably, I'm guessing, they're quarantining that area so that nobody can go there, because obviously you have a police officer standing there, and so nobody can get in there. You can't see anything there. It looks like a fire.
Confirm that a vehicle exploded inside the facility. The extent of injuries or the amount of people injured are unknown at this time. We have no other information other than...
So I'm assuming the camera footage is going to come out. Has to, right? Like, you have to have footage. And I'm expecting that to come out maybe tonight's news or something, where they'll be like, here's what happened. So they got to gather all the evidence and everything. Let me see. What else do we have here? Anything else? Let me just play it a little bit.
And fire, El Paso Fire is out there trying to extinguish the fire. Everyone was evacuated from the facility. Now, the way this is going to impact you is that the roads are closed. From Montana between Yarborough and McRae.
So the roads are closed, and what they're worried about is the wind. I think there's a little bit of wind. I can't see it here, but there was talks. Oh yeah, you can see the smoke blowing to the right.
That area remains closed.
Little bit of smoke. So what they're saying is that it's going to get windy a little bit
power
later.
at the airport. And the airport is actually a few miles away from where that fire is happening. It's 73 degrees right now, and those winds are coming in right from the southwest, gusting to 33 miles per hour. But over the next few hours, the winds are going to be ramping up, increasing in strength to approximately 45 to 55 miles per hour.
Wow. That's quite the gust. And they know that it's coming in like 2 hours. Man, I sure hope there's nothing man-made with all this kind of crazy stuff. The first time I heard about people manipulating weather, not just from Zelensky. Zelensky mentioned it once in one of his speeches, but put that on the shelf for now. But my brother-in-law actually runs an airport, and he says, yeah, the insurance companies will actually pay pilots to go up into the air, and they will seed the clouds. And the idea is to seed these clouds before it gets to a neighborhood. That way, insurance claims won't go through the ceiling, because there's actually an area in Alberta. It's almost like instead of Kansas having all their tornadoes, this area seems to get hail all the time, and it's all down this one strip of Alberta, and it hits a portion of Calgary, and then it just goes straight north. And anybody living in that region gets hit by hail damage like you can't even believe. Golf-sized hailstones, all that kind of stuff. It's almost every year. So now they use these planes that are going up to seed the clouds, and then the idea is that they would just rain or dump whatever they have before it gets to the neighborhood, and then no foul, right? What's to stop somebody from doing that? Seeding these clouds when they get in front of somebody's neighborhood, and you're like, you know what, let's just get rid of this whole neighborhood. What's to stop somebody from doing that? And then just saying, look, we're just going to clean this whole area up. We're going to rebuild. We're going to build stronger. How can you prove that stuff? It's pretty tough to prove. Let's see here. Sitting on G, waiting on O, soon uptime. Yes, uptime is coming up. A couple of hours. We're not going for too much longer. We'll go for another 10 minutes or so, because I'll be on uptime in an hour and a half. What are we at? We're almost at 5 o'clock my time. So yeah, 90 minutes. I'll be on uptime, and I hope to see you guys there. Let's see. I'm just going through some of the questions just to make sure I haven't missed anything. I'm an elect. I agree with you. Hurricane in West North Carolina mountains. Let's see what else we got here. What do we got? Scoffers, mockers. Here we go again. Let's see here. What are we going? Is there a conversation going on? Faith are eagerly waiting the soon of our Savior from heaven. The Bible's clear. Yep. Stop because it's in His Word. Tell Almighty God to stop because it's in His Word. That's interesting. We're talking about all weather patterns. You know, what's interesting is when you see a storm, when Jesus was on a boat, He was actually fast asleep. And the disciples started shaking Him, basically saying, Master, we're going to perish. And He stands up and rebukes the wind. And they're like, wow, who is this guy that even the wind and the sea obeys Him? He's the Son of God. What's interesting is when you go back to the medieval ages, the Middle Ages, medieval times, 15th century, 14th century, anytime you have a folklore or a story about clouds and all this stuff, there was always the thought that these clouds were manipulated by angelic beings, whether good or bad, that was kind of their realm, that they just said, yep, this was an act of God. This is where we get this idea from when it comes to insurance policies and all this kind of stuff, where You can put a claim on something. They say, yeah, this is just an act of God. So this is like 1 in a million or whatever, right? But back in the old days, and I don't know if they were wrong, because you see a lot of imagery of angels in clouds, in fiery storms, taking people out, specifically Job. We see Lucifer in front of God, shows up, Satan shows up with the sons of God, and God says, where you've been. It's like, I've been coming to and fro in the earth. I would almost argue time travel, but that's time for another episode, or that'll be another video, to and fro, going to and fro throughout time. And God said, have you considered my servant Job? Testing Job out. And at the end of the conversation, the devil was not allowed to kill Job. But a storm came and took out his entire family, which is interesting, right? Because again, we see this kind of imagery all through Psalms. We see tempests, we see fire engulfing itself. A lot of times talking about God himself, but we know, based on a video that I did on Galatians 3:19, that angels also do God's bidding, and they use weather for that. Now, I'm not trying to say that anytime there's a storm and your house gets hit or whatever, that is because of God. However, because we don't see or understand everything, there could be a case made that some of these angels actually interrupt some of these weather patterns. Because God says, if you reap with your fields and you sow and you let them rest for, let's say, for you work a field for 6 years, the 7th year you're to rest. And this is talking to Israel, not you Americans, not us Canadians, but maybe there's a universal thing going on with the land where you harvest from the land for 6 years. And God said, if you're worried on the 7th year because you're resting and you're letting the land rest and you're worried about eating, I got you. How? He's going to triple the harvest in the 6th year. Meaning, not only do you get to eat the 6th year, but you get enough of a crop that you could store for the 7th year and the 8th year, because the 8th year you're going to be planting, right? The 7th year you rested, the 8th year you're planting, and then the 9th year you're actually eating because of the 8th year. So really 6, 7, and 8. God said he's going to give you enough crops to get you through the 7th year when you're resting. And if you have countries around the world that don't follow this universal principle, and they just plow year after year, week after week, day after day, day and night, because we know a lot of farmers work at night with lights and all kinds of stuff. China goes nutso. They have like dozens and dozens of combines working with remote control, harvesting crops because their people need food. And so they have seed that they manipulate to make them more ripe, all kinds of stuff. But they're not giving the land rest. And I think that's what's going on all over the world, that eventually gets to the point where the land just says, I'm taking a time out here. I'm taking a time out. You're not getting any more crop. And all of a sudden, earthquakes, pestilence, all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm just saying that could be possible. Could be possible that after you rape the land for a long period of time, that all of a sudden it stops producing for you if you don't give it rest. And the idea with the 7th year was you're not supposed to work the land anymore. Why? So that when poor people are around, they can actually go into that land. They can also eat as well and be fed. Isn't that an interesting thing? God knows what he's doing. So with all these crazy weather patterns, is there something to be said? Because I don't know of any farmer that takes a year off. They might call it, oh, we do summer fallow. This year we do this little strip, and then next year we do this. That's not what God was talking about. He was talking about take the whole year off. So either you're in or you're out. If you're in, you're going to do it the right way with regards to giving the land a rest every 7th year. Otherwise, who are you trying to fool, really, at the end of the day? That's my 2 cents on farming. Let's see here. Let us see. All right, so that's pretty much it for today's show. We're going to wrap it up. Have a look at tonight's show at 6:30. So again, in an hour and a half, we'll be on Uptime Community Church. Go subscribe to that channel. Check it out. I'll be on there as a panelist. Should be pretty fun tonight. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And I hope you guys, if you see something that I've talked about that you think is a little bit weird, it's like, hey, Shane, that didn't make any sense, or can you elaborate? Just send me an email. Or if you have a video clip on YouTube for maybe a different angle from this plane landing, I would greatly appreciate that. So I'm going to have my little subscribers go out there, be like little feelers, and then feel free to send me an email and just say, hey, Shane, here's another angle of this clip. You might want to have a look at it. And then I'll have a look at it. Or just send me an email and say, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Can you talk about this in one of your other videos? And I'll try to do it. I try my hardest to read every email. But just so you know, I'm bad on emails from YouTube because I have a lot of other emails that I deal with as well on a day-to-day basis. So if I don't answer your email right away, it's not because I'm trying to avoid you. But I do, if they're pages and pages, probably not going to read them right away. But if they're short and sweet with a link or something, just a short little 1 or 2 paragraphs, I usually am pretty good at responding and sending a reply to let you know that I read it. So take that for what it is. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate you guys. And I will see you in another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys a ton. Let me just see if I can find one of my little videos here to wrap things up with a nice little bow. Here we go. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.
Black Swan Revelations here on YouTube brought you today's mind-bending journey. Dive into the discussion, your comments, questions, prayer requests, and powerful testimonies of Jesus' love are what fuel this community. Did today's episode hit home? Smash that like button. New here? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a live stream or a video upload. Thanks for being part of today's adventure. Catch you in the next video, or maybe even in the clouds. Stay curious, stay blessed.